Us on Media Watch, we like many times to have a bit of fun and a laugh. Tonight, though, James, far more serious matters.
Starting with a serious story for sure, Mark. Yeah.
The Malaysian Airlines flight and this mystery about phones of those who are missing continuing to ring.
That's right. Now, there are lots of mysterious aspects to this story, and a lot of news websites are cataloguing those mysterious aspects to the missing flight. The fact that the black box should emit a radar for at least a month. The fact that there's no sign of that. But one aspect of the story has really generated an awful lot of comment. The fact that mobile phones on this missing airline are continuing to ring. So family members realised at some point in the last 48 hours that they were ringing their relatives and the phones were actually on, or at least it appeared that they were on. Then staff at Malaysia Airlines tried the same with the pilots of that plane. Same thing, those phones were emitting a ringing tone. So news websites around the world have been getting on to experts to try to explain, is this possible? Bearing in mind that most people nowadays have smartphones, and the batteries on a smartphone generally don't last beyond 24 hours. Also, you would expect if the plane did crash that it would be below water, that the phone would no longer be operating. So a couple of details that came through from various experts and hacks who have been questioned, for example, by the HuffingtonPost.fr. They spoke to Bruno Falgue of the French Telecoms Institute, Institut Mines Telecom. He said essentially if a plane goes past a base station and then goes out into sea and no longer can pick up any signal, right? That base station, the last base station, will register the phone and continue to emit a tone, a sort of an echo, if you like. That remains somewhat bizarre from my point of view. Another explanation is that phones that indeed are off, not all operators go straight to voicemail or have the phone go straight through the call straight through to voicemail. Sometimes it will ring 4, 5, 6 times and then go to voicemail. So there do seem to be some viable explanations that would shed light on that mysterious aspect of the Malaysia Airlines disappearance. But I would say it's not the most mysterious aspect of the story, in fact, but it is perhaps the one that got most attention in the media today.
Indeed, and there will be, I suspect, many more days of these mysteries coming out, and obviously more pain and suffering from the family's perspective too. Let's move on, James, to other matters. A presidential speechwriter with a bit of a twist. Francois Hollande drafting in. Well, you explain.
He writes on American rap. Now, his name is Pierre-Yves Bouquet. He also goes by the name of Pierre Evil, right? Which makes him sound very street. So this isn't a case, as I initially thought when I was reading headlines on this in the French press, of Francois Hollande going to a Paris banlieue, getting a guy wearing a hoodie, giving him a nice suit instead of his hip-hop gear, dusting him down and then giving him an office in the Elysee.
This is a posh kid who's basically a wannabe streetwise guy.
Okay. You pretty much put your finger on it, Mark. He is a graduate of the prestigious ENA, the École Nationale d'Administration. Hardly a hive of rap artists. But in any case, he also moonlights as a rap journalist specialising in American rap. You've got Tupac Shakur, Ice-T, Notorious B.I.G., Snoop Dogg. Apparently, he doesn't know the first thing, hasn't the foggiest clue about French rap, which kind of defeats the purpose, you would say, of bringing in somebody who's a bit more
maybe
street.
That says something about French rap.
Or the choice of speechwriters. In any case, it's clearly an attempt to bring Hollande in touch with an electorate that he might be feeling increasingly, I suppose, aloof from, or the other way around.
Not making a political comment here, but it does seem a bit desperate.
It does seem a little bit desperate. But the thing is, he is a senior civil servant. He graduated from this top school. I think it just so happens that he has this second career as a sort of a rap journalist. In any case, it's good. It's good PR, and I presume that was one of the reasons they picked the guy. It sounds good. It sounds like they're making an effort in the Elysee Palace to, think in terms of other aspects of the society, other demographics, when they're penning those speeches. So we'll see if it really impacts on. You've got
a glint in your eye, James. You're not convinced.
Well, the French presidential speeches are particularly wooden and I think formulaic. So I just don't see that American rap interest in any way influencing protocol.
Francois Hollande won't be wearing a sort of baseball cap.
No, definitely not. And he won't be speaking in American street lingo.
Perhaps it's time to move on. Finally, a board game from the French colonial era
Yes.
has resurfaced in the media. When does this date from, James?
This dates from 1941, and this is Slate.com's The Vault blog. You can see it here, right? And when you scroll down, you get a sense of what that board game looked like. It was called Trading Game France Colonies. It was aiming to teach children the basics of colonial management. So cards deployed assets such as boats, colonists, schools, all that sort of thing. And then there were other cards for resources such as rubber, minerals, wild animals, things like that. And if once you used up all the resources, i.e. all the cards were exchanged in one colony, then it was considered exploité. Of no further use, of no further interest, Mark. Move on. Game over.
So it's clearly a comment on its times.
It is indeed 1941.
Okay.
And guess what? In discussions in the newsroom above earlier, we realised that it's not the only odd French board game in recent decades. May 1968 was another hit at one point where police faced off with demonstrators. May 1968, of course, when all the students rioted in Paris. And there you have screen grabs of that. If you get bored, Mark, on a rainy Saturday.
Sous les pavés la plage, under the cobblestones,
Right.
the beach.
Indeed.
There we go, that's what came from there. I don't think we were playing that one, James. We were going to the match instead, maybe
Right.
even taking part in one.
Probably more
Thank you very
entertaining.
much indeed, James Creedon, with all the Media Watch. Good to see you, sir, and illuminating as ever.
Thanks, Mark.
We take a short break. After that, we return with more of the world news, including the re-election of Michelle Bachelet in Chile, her second four-year term after a four-year break, and she's back with a pledge to end poverty. A big task ahead. Stay with us.